I'm actually looking forward to this one because we get to ramble a bit more about not just news, but other stuff.
Looking forwards rather than backwards for a change.
I do want to try one thing. Let me know if you hear this.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, I do. Oh, we had a vote last time, and somehow the audience said you were going to be allowed to keep your soundboard. Let this be a lesson to you.
I don't know. It seemed appropriate to have a Macaulay Culkin soundboard for today.
Tis the season.
So what can I say? We're going to talk about Google News, Microsoft News, WordPress News, other tech news, Yoast News. There's a lot of news. And then we're going to talk to the more interesting bit of SEO in 2022. So let's start all of that. We have all our resources. This is the only URL that you will have to type in to find all of the other URLs of stuff that we are talking about. At least I hope it all works.
SEO is the route to sustainable online success and growth. Learn SEO from the experts at Yoast SEO Academy. Our practical online courses help you on your SEO journey. The courses are packed with actionable tips for beginners and experts, fun quizzes, and much more. Start learning and ranking today.
Let's start talking about Google News. Google was exploring the top trends of 2021, and this was amongst the most boring PR posts I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't think there were any big surprises in this, but they make quite a big song and dance out of it every year alongside the whole Zeitgeist thing. It's quite interesting to take a step back and see what Google's perspective is on the changing landscape, I guess. But as we were saying earlier, really, it just feels like it's a reflection of what else is happening in the world. Obviously, that's kind of how search works. There were a few potentially interesting bits that stood out. They talked about lots of increases in searches for areas like fitness and indoor entertainment and self-improvement, which all makes sense when you consider that lots of people have been stuck indoors. But there was a kind of, if you zoom out from that a little bit, it did suggest that it might be worth tactically checking your focus on things like how-to guides, questions, FAQs, making sure that you have content that is helpful for the kinds of people who are sat at home on their sofa, who've run out of things to watch on Netflix, who are maybe Googling in your problem space. Don't wait for them to get to you and contact you or come to your shop to ask and answer those questions. Try and preemptively put those on your website and help them when they're in that funnel. So yeah, people search for stuff. They have questions, answer those questions.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about Google and their trends, then there is only one appropriate thing.
I'm going through all your private stuff. You better come out and pound me.
We're going to have to do another vote for whether or not you're allowed the soundboard. We're going to do that every time.
So we also talked about product reviews, and apparently we have to do stuff to them.
Yeah, well, we talked about this. It says back in April 2021, they shared a product reviews update. I remember us talking about that then. This was quite a big deal. Essentially, Google got much stricter on anything resembling a product review. If you are going to say this is a good product and you should buy it, or you're going to say you should buy this one rather than that one, or you're selling products with your own reviews, they're getting really, really more specific on the kinds of reviews they will show, what they expect in order for it to be trustworthy, and all the moving parts of that. So things like, do you demonstrate that the person who wrote this review is an expert in that subject matter space? Do you compare alternatives and talk about the pros and cons? And is there evidence that this person has actually seen and touched and used this product? It's all kind of common sense stuff, but it's the kinds of things that we often don't think about doing on web pages and reviews because it's a huge amount of work and detail. But yeah, really, they're pushing people to go into that level of content and demonstrate that their reviews are expert and trustworthy and authentic. So if you're reviewing things in any sense, I would go the extra mile and really prove that your reviews are useful and helpful. Otherwise, you might find that somebody else outranks you when Google get around to implementing more of this.
Cool. So I don't know what this is saying, but at the same time I do, and I'm not entirely sure whether I care. But Google's December 2021 product reviews update was bigger than the April one.
Yeah, I mean, that's fairly self-evident. They said it was the follow-up. It's for them to have really seriously kind of dropped a big bomb on a space like this twice in 1 year is quite a big deal. This isn't going to change. They're going to get stricter and stricter on reviews. This very much aligns to the kind of maturing legal space and privacy space around reviews. You can't misrepresent reviews. It's illegal. You shouldn't be buying reviews, etc. They're trying to do the same thing in Google. They're trying to make sure that all of these thin affiliate sites and product reviews are authentic, are legitimate. If you're playing in that space, double down on doing the good stuff.
Yeah, so don't have all your family members review you.
Yep.
I made my family disappear.
Yeah, sorry, that one was a bit had a bit more thinking about it. This one was I thought was hilarious. So a 2021 update on mobile indexing, and I've been in this space for quite some time, and I feel like I've been talking about mobile indexing for like 6 years, and the fact that sites are still not ready for mobile indexing should just disqualify them from being a search at all by now. But apparently Google is being nice and giving them a bit more time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky position for Google because they know that people search on mobiles. Like, mobile devices are the way that most people interact with most web content. So they say to all the businesses, get your site in order and make it mobile friendly. But of course, some of them don't. Some of them can't, or at least think they can't. Legacy businesses have been around for a decade. Their website's still built in paper mache. It's quite hard to update all of that. So yeah, they're stuck now. They've said you have to do this. People haven't, and it's a bit of a stalemate. So it'd be interesting to see how long it takes before they do take that next step and say, right, you really have to now, otherwise you're out.
Yeah, I hope sooner rather than later. This is interesting, and it actually looks fairly good, which is surprising.
Yeah, this is really nice. This is similar to what a lot of people will have seen on Android devices for quite a while now. This is Google bundling stories by topic in the desktop results. So if you search for anything resembling breaking news or brands or anything that's in the news, you'll get all these nice kind of here's different publications and their slants, and they'll group it nicely so you can choose your own story when you want to go into that. This I think reinforces the need to be looking at whether your site's set up properly to be in Google News if you want to be in that space, but also blurs increasingly, I think, with Google Discover. This is the kind of content that you might struggle to rank for using conventional SEO, but might turn up in users' feeds. And if I read, for example, The Verge a lot, you can see their logo there. Google might just show that to me and cut out the middleman. So yeah, it makes it worthwhile making sure that you've got that kind of editorial content in place and that it's well optimized. Yeah,
very cool. This was interesting because it's a topic that we talk about at Yoast a lot, and well, look into a lot as well, because well, we do. I'm not going to say anything else, just that we do. But what did Google really say here? Because they were talking about it on their podcast.
Yeah, that it's difficult, and it's an ever-changing space. The verbiage changes, the synonyms changes, what societies deem to be inclusive or non-inclusive changes, and changes versus territories and over time. It's a very difficult space. The TLDR of it is you should probably make an effort to use the right kind of language for a whole bunch of reasons, never mind just keywords and SEO. And that obviously that's going to change and evolve over time. But don't worry about things like synonyms, etc. In fact, if only you had some kind of amazing SEO plugin that was designed to allow you to define your synonyms and plurals and manage all of that in a way that didn't cause you to get red flags and confusion.
I was searching for the ad slide, but it's not here, so we're not doing that.
Damn it.
Then there's Microsoft news, and Bing has launched something that Google actually launched a while ago already, where you can look at what a site is. Well, no, you can look at about this website within Bing search results to know what you're going to click towards. That's basically
Yeah,
it,
it's a
right?
little bit different to Google's. It's so I suspect that both Google's and Bing's have been there's some kind of legal pressure that has resulted in them making this. You can see the main content of this little snippet is a description of what the website is, usually sourced from Wikipedia or similar. This feels like some kind of legal requirement that they disclose their sources and they make it safe. But the way that the stuff they've done around that is slightly different. So Google's is focused on why did we rank this result? It contains this keyword. It's about this topic. Bing's is more useful, for want of a better word. So you can just about make out in the picture, it highlights the topics they found on that page, and you can click through to those and go into specific subsections of the page. There's some related content. Practically speaking, if you get any traffic from Bing, which some people do, it is a search engine that exists. It reinforces the value in really having a good page structure, like having headings that nicely carve things up that you can drop people into without them getting lost or confused is always good practice. It's stuff we say you should do regardless, but now you maybe get a bit more out of Bing for it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. This one was actually interesting, and Bing now lets you search local stores, and it looks like it actually lets you search within what they have in stock, right?
Yeah, so again, this is very similar to what Google's doing, but it's a different treatment. It feels like in a lot of these areas, Bing's implementation of these kinds of things is much more visual. It's much more designed for visual searching rather than passing text and links and things, which is quite interesting, different user base. So yeah, if I'm searching for a product like a laptop, I can go and search and I get a map-like experience. I can see what's in stock. I can see delivery times. I can see returns policies. Incidentally, a lot of this is powered by structured data and schema.org, the kind of which that we output in the in Yoast SEO, but in particular in the WooCommerce add-on plugin that we have. There's more and more of this sort of stuff happening across Google and Bing, where they're exposing product availability, information, metadata, prices, comparisons right in the search results. We've talked about this a lot in previous episodes. This is now part of your storefront. So you have to be optimizing for this as well. Otherwise, they might never get to your website to read your compelling content. The journey starts right here in search.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Google does anything closer to this, it would be nice. I like the visual aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, WordPress news. This is actually a blog post written by yours truly, although to be fair, all of the graphs are usually created by Mr. Jono Alderson, because he's slightly better.
It's a good team effort.
He's slightly better at Google Sheets than I am. I do a market share analysis of all the big CMSs and the entire market every 6 months. And shockingly, WordPress has crossed the 43% market share threshold, which is a lot. It's an incredible amount of sites being powered by WordPress. But what was interesting to see in this installment of this analysis was that WordPress's growth was actually going down a bit. So it's still growing, but not as fast anymore. And Shopify is catching up a bit quicker than we were used to. So they are going really, really fast. And yeah, it's interesting to see, but it also, leaves me as a WordPress person with a lot of questions when I see Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, and all these other SaaS tools going up and up and up. So expect a post from me on that topic very soon. Then we had the State of the Word by Matt Mullenweg, the project lead of WordPress, who did a 2-hour plus talk on lots and lots of things with Q&A and about what the future of WordPress is going to look like, which color schemes you can now use with which theme, and a whole lot of different things in between. One of the things he mentioned is, hey, everyone should be contributing back to WordPress if they're relying on WordPress or making their money with WordPress. I can't say that enough, that this is important. We at Yoast are the second biggest contributor to WordPress, which is ridiculous. It's not ridiculous because we do ridiculous work. It's ridiculous that we are the number 2 because we are not the number 2 company in the ecosystem. And a lot of other companies and individuals should be stepping up and doing a bit more to contribute back to WordPress. to make sure that WordPress does continue to get better and better and better, and we all benefit from it. So there's more tech news. Well, what do we say about this, John? Customers are more likely to overlook a negative review if a business responds. It feels like common sense, really.
Yeah, it's no different on the internet or Google than it is in a newspaper or any other medium. People, I think there's some interesting stats in the study saying that people will look at something like 3 or 4 reviews before they make a decision. So yeah, even if your top 3 reviews are glowing 5 stars, if the 4th one is a 1 star, that's going to ask questions. But that blend is more trustworthy. I guess the practical takeaways are obviously that having many reviews is important, and making sure they're balanced and authentic is important. Again, don't cheat this. The legals are quite important. You can't buy reviews in many countries and territories. But also there was some info in the article that talked about how consumers were less likely to trust.
Oh no! Have
actively... we lost you? Oh, hello.
We lost you for a second there.
I was saying they also said that customers are less likely to trust reviews that look.
Yeah, you're not allowed to talk about this anymore. Can't hear you. Is it me or is it just is it Jono, Taco?
Hello.
Ooh,
1 2 1 2.
Taco's unmuting himself.
Yeah, it's not you, Joost. It's really Jono who's.
Oh dear, Jono. Well,
I'm alive.
You are alive. No, so we lost you for a second, a couple of times there. So we'll have to keep a short watch on that. Let's skip to the next one, which is also about reviews. And Google, unsurprisingly, says that they value both positive and negative reviews. That makes sense, right? There's no way that they would only take the negative ones or only take the positive ones. So sometimes this news is not really news. This though was shocking. Shopify is a company we look at a lot. We have a lot of friends working there, so but it is a very interesting platform, and to see them like smash all their records with this last Black Friday was, well, very interesting. And also, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and the statistics on the page are even scarier in some regards. There's something like 47 million users bought something directly. And you're looking, that's from independent direct-to-consumer brands. That's not an Amazon, that's not an aggregator. That's lots and lots and lots and lots of little shops all competing, which is great. 71% of transactions were on mobile devices. That is how important mobile is. It doesn't matter what sector you're in. It doesn't matter whether you sell insurance to businesses or cakes to consumers. People browse, research, and make decisions on their mobile phones. And the biggest category by far was clothing and accessories, which I'm not sure is helpful if you're not in that space, but it's worth understanding just how ready people are to spend money for stuff online that historically we've thought people will want to look at and touch. Entire industries and sectors have been wiped out and disrupted by this. Create the content, position your value, and get ahead of the curve, because this is the new normal.
This is the new normal in many, many ways. This is awesome that you worked on this, Jono, the HTTP archive Web Almanac.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This has been running for a few years, and it's an annual project where there's the people at archive.org, the HTTP archive, which stores all the information about all the pages on the web that it finds, collate all the information they have about all the pages in the web, and produce research. So they look at things like which are the most commonly used CMSs, what's the trends in performance, what's happening in accessibility, how many websites have a blue icon, thousands of these kinds of questions and data points, and they compile it all into a big study. I think we had something like a 750-page ebook off the back of this. Really cool. I owned and wrote the bulk of the structured data chapter, which was new this year, which is really cool, looking at what is structured data on the web, how's it doing, what's growing, what's changing, what's schema.org doing, what are people using. Some quite interesting insights there into changing trends and stuff. Be really fun to watch this over the next couple of years. There's a huge chapter on SEO, which is really good reading that tells you kind of what are people doing and where's it going.
Yeah. No, it is always a very interesting read with a lot of different things. And their data set is actually something I look at more and more to just research bits of data as well. Then this was a bit sad. Now, you might not know what Alexa is, and no, we're not talking about Alexa, your pet that you can talk to put things on your Amazon shopping list. But we're talking about the Alexa that is the traffic monitor that Amazon used to have. They used to create a top 10 million of websites with the most traffic. And that list was then used by lots and lots of different tools out there to look at the top 10 million sites. So by doing that, Alexa sort of determined what the top 10 million sites in the world looked like. They're going to retire that list. And a lot of research is based on it. So we will have to find something else. And they're actually retiring it quite fast, only 5 months from now, which means that we will have to find other lists to base our research on, for instance, to look at market share of CMSs. And we'll have to validate those lists quite quickly to see if, like, hey, do these provide somewhat similar results so that we can actually continue our research in a good streak. But yeah, this is so not happy about this, but I do understand that it wasn't really making them any money in any way. So
there's an interesting question in from the audience there saying it's really inaccurate. So what's the concern? Yeah, your Alexa ranking number has never been really useful, but for us, it's really valuable to look at scale. We're building software that's going to run on 11 million websites. We need to have a general understanding of the shape of the internet. What kinds of technology are people using? Which types of sites are more successful than others? What are the trends within that? We need that kind of visibility in order to make product decisions and to understand, do we need to support this version of PHP? What's coming soon? What's the rate of adoption for different, all of these types of questions, which it was a really good list to kind of get a feel for that scale of difference. So yeah, we need something like that.
I agree. So we're going to go a bit quicker because we have other stuff to get to as well. Yoast SEO 17.6, talking about quicker, actually made our Yoast SEO XML sitemaps a lot quicker because we based them on our new indexables technology, and they're super fast. And I'm super excited for the changes coming to Yoast SEO itself, where we do the same thing. They'll be coming fairly soon. If you don't know about our News SEO plugin, you should. It's awesome. And if you want to rank in Google News, you should have it. In 17.7, we introduced a configuration workout, which we're going to rename in 17.9 or something to something else and move to a different spot because it's now in a confusing spot, but it is doing the right thing. It is letting you configure your website in a very nice new interface, and that interface won't change much. So that's good. And with that, I want to get to the SEO news for 2022. We're going to put our prediction hats on. Where's our prediction hat? I don't know. And then we're going to say, hey, we know all of this. And there it is. There's Jono's prediction.
There's the prediction hat.
And now we are going to look at, hey, what are we going to do? And the first thing we're going to tell you is that everything is staying the same.
But more so. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this is new. This has been the truth for a long time. There have just been shortcuts to avoid needing to try quite so hard on it. As Google gets smarter and as consumer expectations increase and as the general quality of content and features on the web improves, you have to compete. And you do that by having an excellent website that does all of these things and improves them day on day on day on day faster than your competitors. None of that's new, but that speed will increase. And the amount of work you'll have to do to keep ahead will increase. I think that the key bit for me is it's still quite hard for many businesses to wrap their heads around this, but you need to prioritize based on your audience and their needs, not based on what you want to achieve. If your website is designed to try and sell things, you're going to struggle. It needs to be designed to help users to solve their problems. And then incidentally, off the back of that, yes, you can try and sell to them. But the first thing it needs to do is be a resource. and that gives you table stakes to then try and do the commercial stuff. So yeah, prioritize your audience.
That's true.
Nice.
Sometimes it's the simple bits that are nice. Google's focus on AI and NLP. I can't even read this anymore. It's the end of the year, and it's time for my holidays. With MUM, which is also an acronym, will influence search results. Basically, all of the stuff they're doing will change the results that we're seeing. That's also been true for quite a while. Although I do think that they're making bigger steps now than they have for a while.
Yeah, the last few months we've seen more blending of results types and contents than I think we've ever seen. We're seeing more videos in places where videos haven't been. We're seeing more translation. We're seeing automatic captioning. And we're seeing, I think the key bit for this, the thing that MUM does, which will change things even more radically, is their understanding of all the things. They had an example when they launched this a few months ago around searching something to do with hiking a mountain. And they were saying that previous Google would have understood the name of the mountain and the word hiking and gone, okay, here's a guide. With this MUM model, they understand the location of the mountain, all of the images they have of it, all of the video that they can consume around it, all of the multi-lingual content about it. And they can go, actually, okay, you need a guide, but you also need this footwear, and you will need a plane going to this airport. And they can understand all of that and use it to serve you richer, different, better results. So I think this is an increasing step away from a world where you type a keyword as a user and you get a list of results you need to pick, and a step towards Google just going, okay, I am your personal assistant. Here are all the things you need to solve this problem. Some of that will be video, some of it will be websites, some of it will be who knows what. I think increasingly some of it will be stuff that they generate and create off the back of that, automatically generated content, snippets, solutions, etc. That's definitely the direction of travel.
It's scary up there.
It is.
So, and doing all of that, they will need, or no, not necessarily always need, but they will use more structured data, right?
Yeah. The sheer amount of stuff we've seen them do with structured data going back as far as maybe the middle of 2018 is immense. Like when you go and look at Google's developer logs on the features they've launched and talked about, 3/4 of it is to do with structured data. We've changed how we handle recipes. We've added images to how-to guides. We've changed this documentation. Here's updates to how we handle job results, etc. All of this is powered by structured data and schema.org. There is an appetite for them to do more, especially in the product space. All of this stuff around delivery, availability, location, business opening hours, reviews. This is all powered by schema at the moment. Some of that might change. Some of it might go away. There might be new stuff, but this is a space that's moving very, very quickly. So yeah, it's one that we're deeply involved in.
Yeah, and I actually, it also opens up a lot of opportunities for other stuff powered by schema. So I think there's a whole lot of things that we can do for that in 2022 and later on that really do help all of us. Now, this is super important for us in many ways. There will be an ongoing focus on performance. Why? Because the web as a whole is not, it's getting faster, but it's going slowly.
Yeah.
In many ways, I thought more sites would become quicker, faster than they are doing at the moment. In general, WordPress sites are not among the best in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of very slow WordPress sites out there. And I think all of us, don't like that, which is why we at Yoast, together with Google and others, started the WordPress performance team, because, this needs more attention. And other platforms are focusing on this a lot. So I hope that in 2020, if we do this at the end of 2022, we can say, hey, this year sites really got faster. And it wasn't just like a couple of percentage points, but a really big improvement.
Yeah, and there's nothing stopping that from happening. A lot of these are solved problems. It just requires the motivation to invest the resources and the time and the energy to attack them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last one, I think. Is this the last one?
Yeah, I think there's 6, maybe.
This is the 6th? I don't know. Well, let me quickly peek. Yeah, there's 6. So the almost last one. Video will become more important. I think video is always becoming more important if I look at my kids.
Yes, and this is the bit we need to be careful of, right? As you collectively are not your audience, and increasingly large amounts of your audience are video centric, or prefer to solve problems by watching a video than reading a how-to guide, or might want a 10-second video rather than a 5-minute explainer, or any other combination. But video is a format. It is here to stay. It is growing. It is a great way to build brand association, to communicate, to solve problems. These are the things that Google want to help you do. If your competitors are doing video and you're not, you're losing out on a huge amount of real estate. The threshold for entry to doing good video is always getting lower. The equipment gets cheaper. The guidelines on how to do it, often unironically in video, are getting more and more accessible. And we have a fancy plugin that does all sorts of video SEO stuff. So yeah, if you're not playing with video, now is the time.
What are you saying? That this is slightly self-serving?
Only a fraction, but it's like it can be both. It validates that we're in the right place for sure.
Yeah, and this is another prediction for 2022 that there will be more automation and AI in all sorts of things. I've seen incredibly cool AI tools pop up in WordPress in the last few months, with things from creating Elementor layouts easily with AI, where that I've seen people do, where I'm going like, yeah, that can really like improve people's lives by doing it faster and smarter. So I have high hopes for doing cool stuff with that, and that others will do so too.
Yep.
What's the coolest new automation thing that you've seen, Jono?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a hard question as well. I was unprepped. I like those.
You know, I'm struggling to think of anything. I think the last one I saw that impressed me was a while ago, actually, which was, I can't remember the name of it. We looked at it. It was a thing that automatically generated alt attributes for images using Microsoft's Vision AI system. That was pretty cool. I think it's not quite ready or right to use in the real world, but as a piece of tech, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it helps us all do more. And quicker, hopefully. And with that, I see someone asking in the chat, was it the premium version of Yoast? Well, if you don't know what the premium version of Yoast is, here you can find it. And we'll slowly wait for our overlord Taco to come back to us. And
oh geez,
He's at work.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna play a bit more with my soundboard while he gets us some questions.
Well, before we go to the
40
questions, there is the sign up for the SEO webinar newsletter.
That's
And
true.
there's a big flashy button near the bottom of your screen. If you're not seeing that, you should definitely unfull screen us, and then you will definitely see it. Meantime, I'm doing something very important. Should the soundboard be back next month? I'm not going to put it next year because
yeah, we do it month to month, definitely.
yeah, people may be smarter than that.
Yeah, and next month is actually going to be the 25th of January. I have a very nice slide up now to show everyone exactly that. It's almost as though we prepped this stuff, Taco.
It's nice, right?
It is nice. I really do like this slide. They put a bit of extra effort into this, and it really does look very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I've opened the voting, so you can now vote, and we have a lot of questions waiting for you.
I thought so.
the next 15 minutes will be busy. And we'll start with a question that got 32 upvotes. By the way, if you see me looking to the side, that's because that's where my second computer is. What's a good strategy to get quality backlinks to your website? How crucial are backlinks?
We always get this question, don't we, Jono?
We do. Every webinar I've ever done in my life always has this question, and it's a good question. And the answer is have the kind of website and content that real human beings will link to because it's useful and relevant or informational or entertaining. Create resources and guides and collateral and market it so that people will link to you because your stuff is good. Do not go out and seek artificial clever tactics. Do not buy links. Do not hand over money to agencies in exchange for links. Do the kinds of stuff that would make you link to another site. There is no magic to it. And like, you can cheat and you can bypass it and you can convert money into links. You will get caught. It's not worth spending. Do the kinds of things that will earn you links.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
You're having too much fun. Okay, so the other question with a lot of upvotes is how big an issue is bounce rate for SEO?
And actually, this ties in very much to the same answer that Jono just gave on how to get links. In many ways, what you need to be doing is answering the questions of people visiting your website. So if the bounce rate for a page is very, very high, then that bounce rate is more of an indication that people are expecting something else on that page than what they're getting. And it's up to you to have a look at that and see if you can fix that. That being said, it's quite normal for bounce rate to be reasonably high. It's not weird. It's not like you can ever get to 100% non-bounce.
That would be interesting. No one ever leaves your website.
You know what that means when there's 100% non-bounce?
You've broken your analytics.
Yeah, your analytics is broken. Yes, that's the only thing it can mean. Yeah.
All right. So a question about a Yoast product. How important is the feature to have multiple keyword options to just one in the free plugin?
Well, of course, I'm going to say it's important, right? So don't expect me to do anything else, please. Why I think it's important is because what I want you to think about is to think not just about one keyword or key phrase, but about its synonyms and related key phrases, and that's what you can use it for. And I think that'll make you write better text. It'll make you attract more traffic. And that'll help you do better in the search results.
So you're saying that the additional keywords should not be completely different from your focus keyword?
No, I in many ways I would, and we don't use this word a lot, but I do think that an article should stay on topic. And you shouldn't try and cover 4 topics in one article, but you should pick keywords and key phrases around a topic.
All right. Jono, side speed question. Does having a Facebook testimonial embedded on your WordPress slow it down? And is there a way to embed Google My Business reviews without slowing page speed?
There's a really nice answer from Cone in the comments saying, yes, you can do this in a way that doesn't slow it down, but it's going to require some finesse. You will need to have control over how that JavaScript loads. And you can say, maybe depending on your setup and your plugins, you might be able to say, wait until the page is finished loading and then load this in. Now, it's not any faster or slower, but it's not going to disrupt the user as much. That might have some unexpected consequences. Like if that content is quite high up on the page, you might create other performance issues. Play with some performance plugins, tinker. These things are slow, and the best you can do is try and work around that. But you might have to accept that there's a trade-off, that if you want to load the slow thing, it's going to slow things down.
All right. I do think that we should mention Koen Timmer because he's been answering quite a few questions in the Q&A section already. So thank you, Koen, for doing that. And if you're looking for a job, yoast.com/jobs is where you go.
Nice.
Next one. What are your thoughts on updating content versus writing new content for blogs?
Nice.
So I think you should do both. And you should probably, as your site grows older, spend your time more and more on also updating your old content. I know that on Yoast.com we spend a lot of time updating our old content and republishing it, or just doing minor tweaks, but sometimes also complete rewrites, because stuff changes. And you don't want people landing on an 8-year-old page that doesn't reflect the current reality anymore. So you should do both. How much time you spend on either depends on how much content you have. And over time, as your site grows bigger, you need to spend more time on maintaining your back catalog of content. That is, if you are a site like ours, an informational site or an e-commerce site. If you're a new site, this is probably a bit less of a problem, although then still you probably need to update your tag archives and all these things that you have that are like your evergreen content.
All right. So again, if you have any questions, do post them in the Ask a Question section, because that's what we'll be monitoring, and also where people can upvote your question so that we actually get to it faster. Next up, is there a way to find out if Google sees similar keywords as one? Like dating agency or matchmaker agency. Both mean the same, and I'd rather make one page than maybe duplicate content.
I would try and avoid over-engineering that. Yes, you can try and Google a bit and look at whether the results are similar, and you can use keyword research tools and see if the numbers are similar. But I would use your expertise of the market and of the users. And if you know that they're close enough to mean the same thing, then that's one page. If they are different things, then maybe that's different pages. And that will always be a great area. But it's not set in stone. There's something we don't talk about a lot, is there's no reason why you can't change your focus keywords. You can change your cornerstone articles. You can adjust those as markets change and users change. Use your expertise of that audience and that market to find the best overlap.
All right. The next question is the best to use video for SEO. And I think this is where we should refer to the webinar about video SEO that we had before. And there's obviously a plugin.
We have a lot of good content on video SEO. We also have a very, very good podcast with Phil Nottingham that I recorded earlier this year to discuss video SEO. So there is a lot of free content out there from us on how to do that, and then there's a paid for premium Yoast video SEO plugin that does a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, as I said earlier in the chat, the answer to most of your problems is Yoast.com.
Yeah, a search on Yoast.com in many ways.
Well, yeah. So there's a double question. I'd like to hear some advice about local SEO as well as a multilingual website SEO. So let's start with local SEO. What is that still important now that everyone's in lockdown and working from home?
Probably even more, right? People want to support their local vendors and want to not have to cook. So they want to order, and they look at where they can order and in things. So yeah, there's a lot of different places where this is important. Yeah. And local SEO is not going anywhere. It's only going to get more important as we search more mobile while on mobile, and as we search more while on the go. And local is going to become more important, and it's also getting better and better. I think we've seen a lot of great improvements this year with Google showing you how busy it is somewhere, which is something that during this COVID pandemic you can look at for entirely different reasons than you did before, but it's still very interesting to look at that data and to know about it.
As a follow-on from that, one of the things that came out of that Google overview of 2021 was that people are searching a lot to find to make informed decisions, is the term they use. They are looking for things like, is this going to be safe to visit? Is it open? Are the tables socially distanced? What is the policy on X? What is the availability of Y? People are doing more research before committing to doing local things and making those decisions. And the websites that have that content available will win out because people will be able to go, okay, I'm now informed. I'm going to make this decision, as opposed to gambling on their safety or the availability of the thing. Definitely worth making sure that you have all of that content out there.
All right, and that means having that local SEO plugin installed if you have a local business.
Yeah, we went through all that without promoting our own local SEO plugin.
Yeah, I
Nice.
gotta do something here.
It is good. So yeah.
All right. Then there is a few more minutes left. So if you have a question that you did not ask in the Ask a Question section just yet, now is the time. You can start upvoting your own, and after that, other people can upvote your question as well. There's one I highlighted myself, a question by Anne Hall. Do you guys think that Yoast SEO really helps rank businesses?
If I didn't think that, I'd stop doing this work right now. Having already sold the company, I also could. So
Yeah.
Fair.
no, yeah, I do truly believe that, and it's what I'm enthusiastic about, and why I'm still here. Why I'm passionate about giving everyone an opportunity to rank in the search results equally. So yeah, I truly do think that.
All right. So do I, but I'm slightly biased. Maybe. Another plugin related question. What's the minimum requirement to use the Yoast News plugin? And that means how many times do you have to write a post or article a week?
Well, there's not necessarily that requirement. There's a lot of requirements to be in Google News. So we have a page on that actually, and Google has a page on that as well, where they explain to you what you need to do. And that a lot of that is about transparency, about who's writing and why are you writing about that, blah blah blah. And that's all doable. Then there's some technical. Jono, don't
Technical
kill it.
issues.
Then there's some technical requirements for Google News that the SEO News plugin basically all solves for you.
All right. So with just a minute left, because it is the last one, the last SEO News webinar of the year, we've already been looking forward to 2022, but looking back at 2021, what is the most surprising thing that you would have never predicted for this year that happened in SEO?
Did we
Nice,
have
those
anything,
unscripted hard questions, right?
did we have anything anything happen this year that was
I
unpredicted?
don't think so. Like so much of the SEO news that we look at, we joke that none of it's new, but none of it's new. Surprising things. I continue to be surprised about how often Google gets its product positioning and marketing wrong on things like how it handles bits of schema and their weird product launches, but that's not new. That they do that all the time. Oh, you know what? I'm surprised that Bing are catching up and outpacing Google on some areas of user interface and functionality. They were stagnant for a long time, and now they're at least trying some interesting stuff.
No, that's true. Although I'm not surprised to see them trying. Yeah, I'm struggling to find a good answer to this, Taco. In many ways, SEO is always changing, but never like really, really radically changing. And I think that's also good news, right? I mean, we've not had to change our SEO tactics for years because they work.
Just be the best result.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. With that, in the chat, there is a please predict a YoastCon for 2022. Below this screen, there is a button that you can click to sign up for webinar newsletters. All I'm going to say. Gentlemen.
You're a tease.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
All right. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for this year of SEO news webinars. All the information you shared with us for free. So, big round of applause for Joost and Jono.
And then a big round of applause for you too, Taco, for being here all the time and guiding us through it. Because honestly, if it was just me and Jono, this would go incredibly wrong.
I'm not sure about that.
For everyone listening, happy holidays and happy New Year, etc. See you quickly in the new year, and stay safe and healthy.
All right. See you in 2022.